Okay, we're almost live. Just a couple more minutes, everybody. Come join us. We are ready. Oh, you're going to like our guest tonight, too.
It's going to be fun.
So good.
Finally.
Yes.
The countdown is over.
The countdown is over. We're so glad about that. Well, hey, welcome everybody. You're listening to Live It Out live stream with Jon and Jennifer Garrick. We are unapologetically lifting up the ways of Jesus, promoting grace. And of course, we strive to learn, think, and live like Jesus Christ. So before you try and cancel anything, that's who we are. And you should just know we believe in a triune God who loves us and calls us to live out the good news where we live, work, and play. So,
and hopefully you're doing a lot of play during the summer. Summer is winding down fast.
It's super fast. I cannot believe it. It's almost Labor Day.
I know.
Which is just nuts. But,
I know.
Wow. We see people popping up out there.
Welcome.
So glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, Aaron Wingate. How cool is that?
We can't hear you.
You can't hear what? It says you can't hear.
That's
oh my
not
gosh,
good.
this is not good. We might have to do a reboot.
Well, maybe it was during the intro.
I don't know. That's so bizarre. Let us know right now. Let us know if you can hear us out there. If you can't, we're in trouble. So I know that our guests can hear us because they're giving us thumbs up that they can hear us. They're in the green room right now. But let us know, Aaron. Whoops, my fault. Ooh, I love that.
Because we were muted during that long countdown.
Man, do you know how to scare us like that? Oh my gosh.
I think our heart rate just went up a little.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that could have just been serious. Well, either way, we are glad you and everyone else is here. Please let us know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, what do we want to remind them to do in the very beginning?
Well, of course, we always want you to take a moment, hit that subscribe button. If you're viewing this from Facebook or YouTube, click like, do all those.
YouTube.
No, YouTube.
YouTube subscribe. Facebook's like.
You know what? You guys probably know better than I do what you're supposed to do.
That is clear.
Click like, click the bell, get your notifications, don't miss a thing, and share with your friends.
That's awesome. Okay, so we don't really know anything about all this
Especially
tech.
when you're covering up what I'm supposed to say.
Oh no, you cannot use that as
I can.
excuse.
You should
No way.
see what goes on behind
No
the
way.
screen, you guys.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
it's
here's the
chaos.
deal. We know that the algorithms, you need to click like all that kind of stuff, but really
Follow.
that's just what we want to do. Follow. We want you just to stay
We
connected.
want you to like us.
Oh man.
We really do.
She needs a friend. All right. So many of you know that we're on multiple platforms. So we're broadcasting on Facebook. Some of you are watching through the Eternal Impact Facebook page. Some are through Jon or Jennifer's personal page, as well as Twitter and YouTube. So Jennifer just got all these different buttons and that they need to push out there, but you know what to do. But what you really need to do is, of course, let us know, like Aaron did there in Atlanta, Georgia. Let us know if you're not hearing or seeing things. We'd love to know that so we can fix it. But we want to hear from where you are. And we want to remind you that this is interactive. It's not like a podcast, although some of you may be getting this on the restream. Oh my goodness, look, I still have the logo of the thing. I didn't switch screens. I got to learn to do that. What is going on?
Goober check.
I know. Anyway, so we want to be able to know where you're from. We want you to interact. And different than a podcast, you can interact. You can give questions. You can make comments. And we love that. So
Yes,
very interactive. And you're going to love the guests tonight who are going to be sharing. And we're going to introduce them to you in a minute. So you will want to be able to interact with them as well. So, hey, what's going on? There, a little update, family updates, ministry update. What's happening?
On. So if you tuned in last week, you know that we were over in Central Oregon and sisters and hosting for a week. What a great time. We just had a blast.
Yeah.
Loving on these pastors. And we had a wonderful time with our podcast last week in that beautiful location. And there's more beautiful locations coming up soon because this week it's a little chaotic. Because we're packing up and moving. I mean, if you could see our house right now, it is a mountain of boxes and all this packing material because early Saturday morning, 5:30 in the morning, we are packed and on the road to Montana to get our home on wheels. So the adventure begins.
Yeah, well, I think it already began, but it continues.
When has it ever stopped?
It continues. But we are going to be getting our truck and fifth wheel from there. And as you know, our home here in Oregon City and our property is turned into Shiloh Homestead, a place where we're trusting God is going to reveal himself to the young men who are going to be staying here now.
I feel really good
Yeah.
about what God's doing here.
I do too.
And who he's bringing along. Every time I pray about it, I get super excited. So
Yeah. I do too.
God's on the move.
Yeah, and we got another little feedback from some of the other applicants today. They're going to be moving in starting in September 1st, and then some will trickle in end of September into October. But by October 1st, this place is going to be full, and Shiloh Homestead will be a dude ranch, literally, not a dude ranch, but full of dudes, and is going to be a little Christian fraternity. For guys launching in life, and so it's pretty cool.
I think the guys are excited about it too.
Yeah, I think
I
they
know
are too.
they are.
Yeah,
So
we've been getting a ton of
be fun.
feedback. So yeah, really cool. So that's happening. And so for those that don't know, we also have an RV spot that we just. You all know that. I think most of our listeners and viewers know that, but you can journey along the way because we're going to be traveling for 3 weeks and then coming back.
Road
here.
trip. So our next our next live stream is going to be from beautiful Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. We'll find some beautiful place to let you enjoy the view along with us. So be sure and tune in.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We're all going on a road trip. Woo!
Maybe it'll be from our trailer. I mean, you never know.
Oh, yeah.
So either way, you'll be ready and be there next week from Bozeman, Montana. Then next week after that, I think, is like either Whitefish, Montana.
Whitefish or Coeur d'Alene or I don't know. We're going all over.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna
come
be
with
cool.
us. It'll be fun.
Yeah, please do. And stick with us on Facebook as well. It's we're not very good at Twitter. Sorry, you Twitterites. We're just not very good. Yeah, I am a twit.
I don't even know what buttons to push on like or subscribe.
That's true.
Let alone
You've made
Twitter.
that very clear, obviously. So anyway, okay.
I just show up and talk into this microphone.
But it
That's all I
works.
do.
But it works. So, okay. So either way, we're going to be there. Follow us on Facebook, though. That's kind of how to keep up with us, right?
Yes.
As well as
Facebook's the best.
the website, eternalimpact.org. Well, that brings us to a section that we want to just say thank you to our sponsors.
Impact.
Yeah, we don't have sponsors of this live stream like businesses or that sponsor, but Eternal Impact is supported. It's a 501c3 ministry that's supported by our champions, and we're so grateful for you, our friends, our family, our supporters that get behind the mission of Eternal Impact, which allows us to do this and a gob of other things, and really allows us to press forward on this adventure of developing out a retreat space for leaders in the years ahead. So super excited about it. And, every time we see what's happening in our life and have a chance to even host pastors last week. And I'm just reminded we can't do that. We can't do a live stream. We can't do any of that without you.
Help.
Yeah. Without your help and our champions. So whether you're listening tonight as a champion or whether you're getting it and restream, or whether you're not listening at all, we just want to give thanks to God for those friends that are with us day in and day out, week in and week out. So hi to everybody out there. You're giving us yes. Ooh, Mary, good to see you again. I should know this. Mary, was she here last week?
Last week she was. Yeah.
Was she? Okay.
Good to have you back again.
Yeah, that's right. And let me I got to do something about this screen thing. I keep having it on my. Oh, I think I know how. Look at that. Yeah, because I want to be able to see the things that come up, and I want to be able to see Mary. So anyway, yes, hi. Good to see you. Look forward to tonight as well. Last week, by the way, because I mentioned that, we're supposed to go to Flashback. Every time we do a show, we flash back to something of last week's show, and we got a ton of great feedback. One thing, just the setting. It was so cool. We did it outside. We did it in Sisters, and I can't believe all the video and audio came through.
That was a miracle.
It was high risk, but it was so
Worth
beautiful.
it.
Yeah, natural lighting. It was just so amazing.
But the conversation was super rich, too.
It was.
I just loved our time talking with Jonathan.
Yeah.
I want to have him back again.
Yeah, we'll have him back.
We need to continue that conversation. It was really good.
Yeah. And so my flashback from that is just to be reminded the idea of just servant leadership. I just want to remind, this is the big flashback, this thing that I got from last week. And we've got to let the Spirit of God chisel at our soul until we get this, until we can align ourselves with the ways of Jesus in this. But the truth is, Jesus didn't come to be served, but to serve. And everything about his ministry was to give and give and give and to serve, to wash feet, to give. And I just want us to be reminded of that was the big takeaway that kind of, hit me in the middle of the show last week. And we've had several conversations about since then. And, that's just so counterintuitive to everything that we're about, especially in the Western world. It's about being on top. It's not about giving away. It's not about serving. It's about, performance and being the man or being the woman. And I just want to encourage you. That's my flashback from last week. It's just this idea of what does it mean for us to be in the kingdom, but to give it away, just to give it away. And that's what God calls us to do. And so anyway, that was it from flashback from last week. Not only a reminder of great setting and a beautiful space, but yeah, it was so good. All right, before we go tonight, let me see. Mary was also saying on here, good to be here, good to be back. Prayer night next week. Oh yeah, okay, so cool. She's just letting us know, just like others are. And we love hearing from you guys as to what's happening out there, because I know everyone can't come every week. You got things going on, and we do broadcast, at least at this point, every week, as long as our time and ability allows. But speaking of time, boy, I don't want to let any time go by tonight without introducing our guests. So let's get into tonight's subject, because tonight we're going to talk about Oasis in the desert. And we are so blessed to have our guests, Jon and Candice. So Jennifer, introduce them just a little bit for us tonight.
So tonight's guests have been faithfully serving the Lord for the last 12 years in a variety of ways, from volunteering with youth ministries to walking alongside church leaders and their families. They've had a heart for caring for pastors and Christian leaders and have been trained in coaching and debriefing, which complement their gracious hospitality. They spent 3 years in Costa Rica hosting retreats, and they planted 2 house churches, Woo, way to go.
That's awesome.
In 2021, God called them back to the U.S. to open a retreat home called Mountain Top Oasis. And some of you may have heard us. We did a brief interview when we were on our tour. So this might be a bit of a repeat for some of you. But we're excited to have them come and share how they're doing at Mountain Top and what they're seeing happen there. So Jon and Candice, welcome aboard.
Hey, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Wow.
Hey, yeah.
So glad you're here. I hope that
There
you
they
got us both.
are.
Are we both on here? Are we good? Yay.
Yeah.
Look at that. How amazing.
Look how great they look.
They look great. Hey, and I can
look way better.
No, I am telling you, I can envision where you guys are sitting right now on the porch. And I remember sitting on that same porch and looking out at the San Bernardino Mountains. And I know
It's
you could see
beautiful.
Saddleback. And I bet the weather right now down there is just,
And
you
your
know,
sunsets.
beautiful. What's the
Oh, yeah.
temperature right now? What's the temperature?
Ooh, what did you say?
70, 75.
Well, they're high. Their elevation is up there, so
the
you don't
mountains.
get that hot.
Yeah, but that's
anyway.
perfect.
Yeah.
70 degrees out on the porch.
Nice.
So amazing.
Yeah, it was about 80 today during the day, but yeah, we're at 6,100 feet in the mountains of Southern California.
That's so cool.
Such
Well,
a
it's
beautiful-
fun. We had a chance to chat a little bit just before the show and kind of get reconnected, but it's a gift to have you guys on here, and is a treat to be able to be hosted by you and to glean and to learn from you when we were down there. And we're looking forward to more connection in days ahead and getting you up north one of these days as well. You know, someday we'll have our
We'll
own
treat you.
retreat. Yeah, our own retreat space. Right now, you know, it's a rolling retreat space. So
Yeah, I
kind
hope
of
you
tight.
don't mind a fold-out couch in an
Yeah,
RV.
but the coffee's good though. The coffee's good. We tested it. So anyway,
So you guys have had your hand in all kinds of different things, ministry-wise, but I thought we would just start our conversation so you can share a little bit about how you got into the calling of leader care, because that's kind of specific. So talk briefly just about how you landed in doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can start a little bit. Yeah, so kind of like the intro was talking about, God has really called us into a variety of things kind of earlier on in our walk with Him. I came from a complete opposite background as Candice and kind of a hood mentality, and God snatched me out of a life of drugs and everything. And Candice kind of grew up in the church, and then He really meshed us like perfectly together like He does. And so I started doing youth leadership. Candice joined in with that. We started doing community groups and just being active in the church. Started doing a bunch of inner city stuff down in like Skid Row and kind of the projects down in inner city LA. All at that same time, Candice and I got to know each other more and more. Ended up getting married, and then on our first year, our year one anniversary, we got an acceptance letter to join Life Impact Ministries. And really kind of how that worked was we were supporting another missionary that was with Life Impact Ministries from our church, and they went down to South Africa. And through that, there was an opportunity to go to Costa Rica and serve. So when we got the email originally, we ended up praying obviously about it for quite a bit, and then we really did like a deep dive into our own personal giftings and the way that God has crafted our skill sets, and on top of that, we brought in the people that we trusted that literally work alongside of us, that are our mentors, people that even that we were discipling, and really wanted feedback. And it was just kind of a no-brainer. I've preached from the stage multiple times. I've done things like that. But really, the way I like to put it is the way Candice and I live our life is not necessarily what's good for God's kingdom, but what is best. So, yes, I could be a pastor, but the way God has crafted me is much more so in an intimate type of setting through like debriefing and coaching and just loving on one another. And about you and your skill set?
Yeah.
Hospitality.
Yeah. And then, I mean, some of my giftings I feel like are the hospitality side, which is cooking and opening up the home and providing just like care for for people. And so when we looked at it, we thought, okay, God's opened a door. We weren't seeking it, and we were happily serving in ministry, had full-time jobs, like just kind of living that American life. And but he shook it up and called us to do something that we weren't expecting. And so we just kind of walked through that door until he says otherwise. And so, but that's kind of how we just got here. We just followed his leading for sure.
Yeah,
That's
one
cool.
of the real big things that I love about how the way like God really has evolved, crafted, shaped, and molded Candice is one of our big polar opposites is I'm an extreme extrovert. I love to talk. I love people, and Candice is an extreme introvert. But
Me too. Extreme introvert. Same. Almost the opposite.
Exactly, yeah.
Jennifer, serious extrovert. Me, just
This is why we got
quietly
along so well.
put me in a room,
Yes.
just by myself. Yes.
Yeah. But so with that though, her heart for people and her love for God's people specifically, really shines in this ministry. Like he, behind the scenes, before we knew anything, was really building her up in that. And even though being the introvert, she loves people inside of her home, and she loves them really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, calling specifically for faith-based leaders, that happened just so naturally. Honestly, even just today, we in the middle of chaos and busyness, the local church that we attend to here up in the mountains actually just invited me to be an elder. So the reason I even say that is because we have always been so intimately involved, walking like alongside of faith-based leaders and missionaries.
Yeah. So, and we've had the chance of experiencing that, which is good. And
we've been the
especially,
recipients.
especially Candice, what were those cookie things, that you made that you had out? Oh, what were those called?
Yeah, because you guys are here around Christmas time, right? Or the winter, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And you take the Ritz crackers with peanut butter in the middle
Oh.
and dip them into
They're amazing.
That's it. Show's over. I got to go bake. No, but I am telling you, those were a gift from heaven through the culinary giftings that you. Yeah, it was so good.
Leader care at its best.
And I apologize now for eating 3 dozen of them. I know that you were going to have those for other people too, but my kryptonite. You got there. And you gave us ice cream too, which is like, wow.
Amazing.
All right. Well, listen, we had a chance to experience that a little bit at Mountain Top Oasis. I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about Mountain Top Oasis. But I want to connect the dots there from what you said. You talked about, especially God's people. Now, obviously, and I know what you're saying, and we're saying, we believe all people are God's people in the sense that he's welcoming and wooing all creation and all people into relationship with him. But your focus, as well as ours has been, is on leaders, specifically those that have been called out to serve in leadership within the body of Christ. Mm-hmm. Now, that could be as a pastor, it could be as a evangelist, it could be a missionary, it could be the head of a nonprofit Christian organization, it could be a missionary, all these different ways in which we serve. But you really focus on that, and clearly you've identified that need. And you're a part of, for the people don't know, and you can kind of connect the dots with Mountain Top Oasis, but Mountain Top Oasis is, and you had mentioned Life Impact Ministries, which we've talked about many times before and will again. We're just real advocates and supporters of Life Impact. And there are oases all over the United States and the world where leaders can go and be a part, and that are hosted by individual missionaries like yourself, just like you're with Life Impact. But then there's an autonomy to where you can follow the giftings that God has put on you specifically, as you kind of identified, and then open up a home that the Lord provides for specific care, leader care. Now, everyone does it different. So why don't you talk a little bit about Mountain Top Oasis, just a couple minutes, and just share with people, what do you do? Yeah. Tell us about what it's like to interact with Mountain Top.
Yeah. Well, it's different for everyone because really we try to customize it to whoever is coming. So we start out with, once someone reaches out to us and contacts us about coming to stay, we do a Zoom call to kind of get some face-to-face interaction with them, to get to know them a little bit and hear their heart and why they want to come. And And from there, we send them forms to like get to know them even more, to basically customize this retreat that really caters to whatever their needs are. We want to hear what their expectations are when they come. Are they coming for rest, or are they coming for more intense coaching or debriefing? We, like you guys had mentioned about the cooking, like we like to make some of their favorite dishes or meals, have their favorite snacks and drinks and things, just so that they, feel cared for in even the smallest of details. And then day-to-day basis, it just kind of depends. Again, if they're coming for rest and retreat, our house is 3 stories, and it has, everything from different video games and board games to outdoor hikes and nature, and like there's just so much around in this area to do. So we share that with the guests as well. Or if they're doing coaching and debriefing, we sit with them one-on-one, or maybe together, and walk through different things that they bring to us that they want to talk about. And it really just depends. So we do customize it to each person, to each couple, family, whoever it is that's coming, and it may look different for them. And we've had repeat guests that might come for a time on their sabbatical, and then may come for a group retreat or a family time. It just depends. So
that's cool.
I think we should be a repeat guest.
Yeah, we better repeat. What are you doing next week? No, I was kidding. We got to be in Montana. But no, I love that. And what I want people to hear, listeners, and again, some people are listening live on the restream. A lot of people are going to listen to this later, okay? Or they're listening live on the live stream, but later they'll get on the restream. And I want people to know we're going to be putting on the thread, we're going to be putting the website for Mountain Top, and we'll remind people at the end of that. But just so they know, I want them to be able to get there, because there are things when you go to the website, you can be able to identify, here are the certain things to offer. And I think it's really important that all ministries out there stay in their lane, right? And you guys are staying in your lane, and there's some things you can't do and you don't want to do, but you guys have some giftings and abilities and a space that you can offer some very unique things, and some amazing Ritz Cracker peanut butter cookies that really make me hungry even thinking about them. Along with also, you guys introduced, I posted on Facebook, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I was at Costco and I got these little, I don't know what they are, triangle, they're like Christian crack. I don't know what they're, but they're like, little popcorny triangle things. And oh my gosh, I mean, when I was at your place, you guys were so hospitable and generous, like putting these things, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just forever. I could eat bags of them. And I did. And I ate bags there, and I probably owe you an entire box. So I'm going to work on that. But it is just, it really, I guess my point is that there's a lot of hospitality, and there's a lot of things that are unique. And I like the fact it's not a cookie cutter. It's not a cookie cutter. Right. But at the same time, sorry to use the word cookie again in the description of it, but I think it's an obsession. I think it is. I should have eaten before the show. So I will try and use multiple food metaphors the rest of the evening. But no, seriously, the fact that it's not cookie cutter, but yet it's also within your lane, and you'll let the people know. It's like, hey, as you process about their needs and what there are, you'll let them know if this is the right fit or not. And I think that's great. I just think that's really cool. So, make sure to check that out. Well, let's talk a little bit about leaders. Okay, let's talk about those that we care about and serve. We have kind of a thing around Eternal Impact where we say, when people ask, well, what are you going to do at retreats? How do you do your coaching? And how do you do it? And really, we kind of have a framework that we just say, we love, listen, serve. We love, listen, serve. Motivated by love, opening up our ears to hear what they are saying and what the Holy Spirit may be able to say in the setting, and then to serve. And we serve it where they're, making food. And yes, I had to use another food example, or whether just, carrying their bags, or whether giving them a place to stay, or coaching, or, it's different, but that's our goal, is to love, listen, and serve. I know you guys do that. So maybe Jennifer, what are some things that you're thinking about in regards to? Well,
one of the questions that I had is, because you are doing this full time, we're wondering if you're seeing a trend or, issues or concerns that consistently keep coming up with spiritual leaders. How are they coming to you? Are they feeling burned out? Are they feeling lost? Kind of give us a little insight of what you are experiencing from your guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of ministry leaders, and especially over the past year, since opening up here in the mountains of the United States, pretty much. And one of the biggest things, you nailed it on the head, is pretty much on the verge of burnout. So we do everything on like an entire, from on one end of the spectrum, we do everything from literally just having someone come on their sabbatical and come alone, or a sabbatical and we had a family of 6 come, and we may just babysit. So the husband and the wife, the mother and the father can just get some alone time. We've done that multiple times because they just need to stop and to get away. All the way to the far end of like debriefing, where we have had some very, very intense debriefs. Again, because of confidentiality, we can't say too much, but some
Right.
of the issues like you're talking about, one of the most recent guests, an executive director for one of the largest nonprofit, faith-based 501c3 Christian organizations here in the United States, came for an 8-day long debrief. And the number one thing that God really extracted from him was he went through a very painful divorce. And there was adultery that happened. And so there was a lot of loss and a lot of grief and a lot of wounds and things that needed to be healed in that. And it was very, very, very eye-opening for him. We've had a single missionary, single woman that is in a remote country, we'll just say that, and she works with church planting, but her main goal is it's church planting in unreached people group, but the main goal is the prevention of young trafficked, like young ladies, human trafficked young ladies. And so, but with that, when she left to go to the field, she left her adult son. And again, with that, and she's been on the field for 10 plus years. So this 21, 22, 23-year-old son is now 31, 32, 33. And one of the big things that she realized during the debrief was the loss. She never grieved the loss of letting her son go, pretty much, because there was accidents that happened with him and couldn't make it back, couldn't be by his side when he was in ICU. So the two biggest things I would say, one is definitely the American culture, and the American Christian culture is a very nonstop culture.
Yeah.
Which is very anti-biblical. Like when we look at what Jesus did, he literally spent so much time off alone with the Father. And that's what we need to implement into our lives. And the second biggest thing is we have found, especially through the debriefing, because that's kind of what we've specialized in, is there is so many losses that have not been grieved. People, and I think they go hand in hand, there's so many people that continue to just go forward because it looks great as being the senior pastor, as being the youth leader, as even being the greeter at the door. You go and you put a smile on your face, but you may be hurting inside. And there's not people that are really coming alongside of you and loving you well and giving you that time and you taking that time to grieve.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt on that, but yeah, even now, coming out of COVID, I mean, we see so much, and we talk about coming out of COVID. I know it's still around. My in-laws got COVID and all that, but it's like all that has transpired over the last 26 months, 28 months, I don't know what it is, but it's a lot, and there's been a lot of, it's kind of a natural thing for many of us, not all, but for many, we want to get back to normal. We want to get back to what it is. And sometimes we don't introspect, we don't take a look both personally or as our body that we're leading, the people, the church, the organization, and we just want to push to get back to whatever normal is in our mind, and we miss out on some of the things that we need to lament and that we need to pause and we need to think and we need to process. And it's not too late. And I think that's been probably a habit of ours, especially in the West, but just as humans for a long time. But I just want to put a punctuation on what you're saying there, in that right now in this space in time in history, we probably need to recognize, okay, probably more than ever in our lifetime, that we need to really be able to step back and to let the Lord search us. Like David said, in Psalm 139, search me, O God, know my heart, see if there's anything impure in me and lead me to the way everlasting. But just to be able to say, search me. And I think the other thing you brought up that's clear, and then I want to ask Candice a question too, but just is clear that, leaders, we're in need. We're in need, and it's okay. It's okay, because the people on the screen right now are times of great need. I'm in need of God's grace all the time. And I mean, even when we were praying before the show, it's like, Lord, allow us to be reminded of your grace.
Yeah.
And the phrase I'm using right now, just as I'm praying and thinking, is just, Lord, continue to chisel my soul with your grace. So it's not a brutalizing, kind of, chisel seems like a tough word, but he's so kind, he's so loving. But when we submit to him and let him, he can chisel our soul, and it's always in a shape that is best, because he loves us. So thanks for sharing that, Candice. I want you to take a moment, if you could, describe for the viewer and listener, and then we're going to get to a couple of questions that we've got on here as well that have come up, or comments. But I want you to talk just a little bit, define in a minute or less debrief. What is debrief? A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
That's kind of
that
term's getting thrown around a lot, but people might not.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of trendy right now. Right. And you and I, we all four know, because we work in that circle, all the time, but share, Candice, what you guys mean when you say debrief.
Okay. This is actually a better question for Jon, because he's the one trained in debriefing. I do assist him in the debriefs, and we do it together as a couple, but he went through the training. So I'll let you, but before I let him do that, I will just add to what he was just saying. And I just wanted to say, I think that a lot of people experience church hurt as well.
That is a big one.
Big time.
In whatever form that may be. And it, even that last guest that he was talking about that was going through the doors, like there was also church hurt that happened. And so we see a lot of people that come with that.
Right.
And again, you kind of push things under the rug, or I'll worry about it later. And so people come in really just tired and frazzled and needing rest. They might not be good at taking the Sabbath every week.
Yeah.
And our life is just busy, and like Jon mentioned, go. And so give them that space to do that and to connect with the Lord. That's one of the big things. Well, so to debriefing.
No, that's good. Thank you for that, Candice.
You.
That's good for your perspective on that. Really appreciate it, and that's really good. So, Jon, in a minute or less, debrief. How would you define it?
Okay, so it's actually very simple. It strictly is a look back. So where the term comes from technically is a military term. You would do a training, you would do whatever you're doing, and then after the training, you look back and say, I did this well, I did this bad. We want to cut this out. We want to do more of this. Maybe try this next time. Mm-hmm. So what a personal debrief is, which is what we specialize in, is someone that is coming to us and through prayer, through presenting their timeline to the Lord, say, hey, God, where is an area in my past, whether very recent or farther back, that you want me to really take a deep dive into? Mm-hmm. We use a whole analogy of unpacking a backpack and taking out of your backpack and examining what's in there.
Good.
And so the debrief is taking a real intricate time. Our debriefs take 5 to 8 days. It's not a quick half an hour. It's a full week's worth of you and time, like you alone with the Lord, examining what he has done, what you have maybe pushed down really far, and allow him to reveal to you what you need to maybe confess, maybe what kind of wounds need to be healed, what kind of unmet needs need to be met, maybe what kind of sins need to be confessed, and moving forward through that. So,
and that's
a lot
important because pastors and leaders don't have a safe place to process this kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's why these retreat places focused on our Christian leaders is so vital.
Yeah.
They have to have a place to air out their laundry, if you will, and not feel threatened by doing that. And you provide that space.
Yeah. And if I were to just 2 words that you use just for our listeners and viewers to be thinking when I think of debrief, because again, I want to bring that term into your common lexicon, so you can kind of think about that. So it's not like, it might sound for the ear that's not used to talking around debrief as kind of like a corporate word or, something like that. But it's really, it's look back and it's unpack. Those are the kind of things when we talk about debrief. It's a look back and it's an unpack. And you've used the example of the the backpack and taking time. And it is a bit more of a crock pot than a microwave, and that's okay. And it's important for our listeners to understand that there are things in our lives that we need to do that. Now, knowing that the statistics are out. Pastors are really struggling in this area. I'm reading a book right now, and if I was a little more savvy, I'd pull it up for people to be able to see. I don't know if I can actually do that, but it is really Morris Dirks, great guy, great brother. I'm engaged within his organization, what's called Soul Formation right now. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because that book is, I think the subtitle of that, I can't really pull it up here. I don't think, but I should have had it with me, but Forming the Leader's Soul, an Invitation to Spiritual Direction. And just this idea, what he has in the first chapter or 2 is just really opening up the eyes to the reader of what the average ministry leader deals with in a day and the kind of heavy tension and pain and things in their life that, hey, it's a privilege to do. There's nothing about my ministry.
Walk in it willingly.
Yeah, it's a privilege, but willingly is not blind. And there's a lot of cargo that comes along and challenges that are there. And if we don't have the right space in our lives to process and to go through those things, then we pay the price. Yeah. And what we're finding, aren't we, is that when we pay the price, then the people we serve pay the price. Because, and Jennifer and I have been there many times where our soul's not healthy. We're just, man, we need the right space and we're not in it. And that's why often it's very important. And there's lots of different things. There's retreats, there's spiritual directors, there's therapy, there's different elements of our life where we need assistance. Someone just commented, Cora mentioned on here, she said, and I like this from the website, she said, I was looking at their website. So someone checked the website out, which, by the way, just to remind you guys what that is, it is mountaintop.care. I put it there on the screen so you can see it, mountaintop.care. We're going to put it in the notes too. Jennifer's going to put that in the thread on Facebook and on YouTube just so you can see it when you're out there. But mountaintop.care, and obviously we got some savvy people out there already. They're jumping on, checking it out, and going, are these guys for real? Can those cookie things be that tasty? Yes, they are. But she said on here, oops, it just went off. Where'd my thread go? There it is. Okay. She said, I was looking at their website and I liked this statement. And this was a statement: working together, we can turn the tide and squash, I think it's, or quash. Is that right? Did I say it right? Okay, quash. The risk of burnout for ministry leaders. Healthy leaders cultivate strong, vibrant communities. That's the point that I want us I just want us to think about just for a moment, is that as leaders, just like as parents, right? Much of leadership within the church, I'm a dad, I'm a grandpa, it's spiritual parenting, okay? And I need parented. Not just parenting, I need parented. I'm still, I'm way over, I'm a half century past well past half century old. And I'm telling you, I still need direction. I still need, those around me that I can learn from and glean from and get direction from. And I certainly have a sphere of people that I'm speaking life into, and that I want to be a life giver into those that are coming behind me and alongside me. And so anyway, I'm saying that because Cora pointed that out from your website, and I think it really kind of ties into what we're talking about, is that healthy leaders provide healthy churches, just like healthy parents, healthy husbands, wives, speak more life and are healthy for your kids. If we're not healthy as the shepherds and the parents and those leading in whatever context that is, then we have a hard time spreading that health. And so healthy churches come from healthy leaders. Healthy organizations come from healthy leaders. And that doesn't necessarily mean healthy doesn't always mean talented. All of those skills, all those are important. But the reality is that it means that we've got a humble heart, that we're servant leaders, and that we're malleable to what God wants to do, and we need that space in our lives. So you guys allow that at Mountain Top. I'm so grateful for that. You are epitomizing that. You're modeling that, and that's really good. Let me ask this question real quick. I'm kind of stealing it from Jennifer. Can I steal your question?
Yeah, I was just noticing you were taking my question.
Okay, go ahead. You're the mom.
Okay.
Go ahead. We're almost we got dad jokes here in a few minutes. I'll let mom
We
question.
have time for one more question.
Yeah, go for it.
And so for our viewers, what can we be doing here at home that will encourage our spiritual leaders? So you're doing your job when they get away, but we want to sustain that good work that you've started, and how do we support them best from home?
Yeah. Something I think of is before we started the ministry, like Jon mentioned, we were going to go to Costa Rica. When we first told our church, hey, we want to do this ministry and we want to be sent out, things like that, they wanted to see us living it out practically here in the States, doing it in our everyday lives, because they're like, how are you going to go across the country and go somewhere else to do this if you're not doing it here? So what we did was, like we said, rest and like people having time with their spouse or time with the Lord, like that's it's very far few in between. So we would do things that would allow them to do that. So we would go to someone's house and watch their kids so they could go on a date night, or we would go and the other couple that was going to be sent out as missionaries, we went and helped them pack up their house before they moved. And so just practical things for them that allow them, I mean, you really just have to ask them, like, what is it that I can do? If it's making a meal for them that night, one night a week, because they have to take their kids to soccer and to baseball and to this and to that or whatever. Those are just some things that I could think of that we implemented before we went, overseas to do this full time. It was providing them care in a practical way that they said this would really help. So just asking those questions to them for sure.
There's a whole lot I could say. I'm not gonna, talk forever, but to take a small step back, because it ties it all in as well. One of the most surprising things to add on to the answer about the trend, you actually brought it up when it came to over COVID, towards the end of COVID, still in COVID, whatever, right? When you think of COVID, there was a lot of people that spent time at home. Everyone was locked down, and then, schools just, in some areas just opened and got back in person and things like that. The one big surprise for us over the past year that we've seen in 2022 is actually pastors and missionaries, but specifically pastors, coming for their sabbatical, which is mind-blowing when you think about it, because they kind of just had the easiest 2 years-ish when it came to like physical, practical things that they were doing. Most people were able to do a sermon from their house via Zoom or whatever. They weren't able to meet, things like that. But it was actually more weighing and more hard on them than probably any of their other years in ministry. So to bring that back around, one of the big things that we hear pastors say all the time that come to us is they want to be invited into being able to be loved on. So just put yourself in their shoes, in the sense of you're usually the marriage counselor. They are the people delivering the word of God. They are the ones that are leading the men's group, the couples group, the women's group. They're the ones taking care of your kids in the youth leadership or the Sunday school things, right? So they're always, always, always giving.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so hard for them to usually go and ask, because as much as I don't like to say this, but the congregation, the non-leadership church members, we don't do the best job of caring for our leaders. But if we could just literally, I love what Candice was saying, ask them. They are willing to get loved on, but they need to know that someone will love on them.
Yeah.
So like if someone will watch their kids and they don't have to pay for it, because most of them aren't necessarily making the most money, and they can take time by themselves, or they can end up going to a movie or a date night with their spouse, awesome. We've also had a lot of aging parents. That is still in the pastor's lives. Many of them usually bring their mother-in-law, father-in-law, dementia, cancer, whatever is going on, into their own homes. And so their time off, they're still taking care of people.
Yeah.
So literally, even just coming and sitting with a sick person that's living in their home, or a disabled child. We've had many people that if they could just get a few hours, even if they go take a nap,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's life-changing for them.
So
right?
just stepping in and finding where that need is and making yourself available for whatever their unique circumstances are. And we know there's hundreds of different circumstances out there for sure.
Yeah, totally.
So that's good.
No, it's good. Well, and just an intentionality, I think if you can hear in what Jon and Candice are saying, and for our listeners and viewers, just to know that the first step is just an intentionality to recognize that leaders are in need. We kind of have this tendency to build them up on a pedestal. And let's be quite honest, us as leaders, we kind of like it. We kind of like it.
Yeah.
It strokes the ego. It puts us in that spot. And we're like, oh man, it's so great to be needed. And depending on who we are as a person, we may even have an extra based on our personality and that wanting that. And so the reality is that we need assistance. And if just that first intentionality is all I'm saying about being willing to say, okay, keeping my eyes open, what can I do? What can I do to keep my eyes? I think that's the first step that I'd encourage our listeners to hear tonight, is that's where it starts. Say, Lord, as I pray for those people that are spiritual influencers in my life, they could be either your young life leader, they could be a missionary you support, they could be a shepherd in your faith family. There's so many things that it could be, but I think the first step is like, how can I support them? And trust the Holy Spirit. He'll show you. He will show you. And many people have heard me say, man, if you can't hear from the Holy Spirit, listen to your wife. Okay. And so there's times if I can't quite dial it in, I can ask my wife, and she can say, what do you think the Lord will have us do? And we do that as parents too, right? We're parents. So it's like, there's been times like, man, honey, I'm just not quite sure what to do about that kid, or what do you think? What's your take on that? And it's a great opportunity for us to do it with our leaders. So I just want to encourage you, hear that tonight, hear that advice coming from the Rose and from us, that we want to be able to do that. Any last words? Can you guys think of we got a couple minutes just to wrap up tonight. Any last thoughts that you got?
Well, the one thing I just wanted to add on to that is that's you put it into a nice little present and a box and put a little bow on it with the word intentionality, which is awesome. The other thing though I would add is follow through, meaning like if you ask once, they may not remember, or they may still push it down. Ask them the next Sunday. Call them through the week. Send them a text. Send them an email if you're not that close with whoever, right? And just say, like, I am listening to the Holy Spirit / my wife, not slash, but you get it. Yeah, you're on my heart. How can I love on you? I don't know how that is, but I want to be here. So the intentionality, the follow through, and the whole big thing that puts it all together is the availability, right? You think about like the Good Samaritan. Right, the Samaritan, he did everything. He dropped everything. He put the hurt Jewish man on his own donkey, took him there, paid for it, put oil on his wounds to heal him, came back, checked on him, fed him. And this is an enemy of the times. So, like, what about like our leaders in our church? We could definitely be available, and that intentionality too.
Good.
Yeah, for
Very
sure.
Good. Very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys nailed it. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the only other thing I thought about just on my mind when you guys were talking earlier was this is exactly why we kind of operate as a third party, like what you guys were saying, because we are a safe space, completely confidential,
right?
And it's an environment where people can be completely open, transparent, and vulnerable, and not worry about getting fired off the pulpit.
Right.
Or
that's good. Yeah, it's a good reminder because, and that is why it is a good place to be. Most leaders don't have that space that is that third party. They need to be having that space that's not with an employee or an employer, and that's great. And you guys offer that. So at Mountain Top, I just want to encourage people, check out mountaintop.care, mountaintop.care. And it's on the screen, but it's also in the thread. And sorry we didn't get to other questions of others for tonight, but I just, man, what a gift it is to have you guys joining us and putting in the questions and all that. So I just want to say thank you. And thanks for the kind words, too. I see some people, putting out thanks, good stream, and all. Thank you for that. Just a privilege to have you. I think one friend, Clarissa, I think you're coming from Uganda. I think you're coming in from Uganda or Rwanda, but either way, really cool, and glad that you guys are with us tonight. Jon and Candice, it's a privilege to see you guys again and to hang out. Yeah, it's so fun.
Our time would go quickly.
Yeah, it went so fast, and Jon thought he was gonna have to be on there until midnight too, and he's already getting the munchies, and so anything can happen. So. Hey, you guys hold on, Jon and Candice, for just a couple minutes. We're going to circle back to you. I'm going to put you in the green room as we wrap up. We end with usually a dad joke at the end. And
you don't want to miss that.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. But anyway, and unless you have one, do you have a dad joke?
No, go for it.
Okay, all right. I mean, if it's good, if you got a good, I'm giving you a chance live, a live dad joke. No? Mm-hmm.
All right, so when does a joke become a dad joke?
When only the dad laughs.
When it's apparent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay, all right, good.
Hey, we're off to a good start.
All right, okay. Well, hey, just hang on here then when we wrap up our show, and you're going to get a couple of the dad jokes. Thanks for being a contributor on the dad joke.
Yay.
Thanks again, you guys. We love you. We'll be back to you in just a minute. Hey, I want to say how cool it is too that we had people sending in some dad jokes. So thank you, Kathy. I don't know if she's on tonight or whatever. She sent in some, but we'll give credit to some of those. But thanks. Keep sending those dad jokes in. We want some good ones. So, honey, what's a mom joke?
This one's coming in from Kathy.
Oh, what's your mom joke?
So I took the shell off of my racing snail in hopes that it would make him go a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. Turns out it just made him more sluggish.
I do like that. That's good.
That's a good one, Kathy.
All right. Okay. So do you know what will happen if you swallow a dictionary?
No.
You'll get thesaurus throat ever. Come on. That was a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
Those are all good.
All right. Okay, hey, we love you guys. We're so glad that you were tuning in with us on the Live It Out live stream
tonight.
Yeah, it's
we'll
so
see
great.
you tomorrow or next week from Montana.
Yeah, from Montana. So thanks for interacting with us. And if you're getting this on the restream, hey, just continue to subscribe and to follow and to click the bell for
All
the
those
reminders.
bells and whistles.
Yeah, all the things that Jennifer doesn't remember what they are, but please
you know
do.
what you need to do.
And if you love our show and you stand with our mission, please consider giving a tax-deductible donation to eternalimpact.org at eternalimpact.org. And until next time, friends, we genuinely pray that the joy of life and the gift of his grace will be tangible in and through you as you live it out. Blessings. We'll see you from the road.
Have a great night.